Imagine for a moment that you are holding a book written 30 years ago. The year is 1997. The internet is in its infancy. The economy is booming and the world feels stable. Peace seems permanent. But inside this book, there is a warning of prophecy so specific, so chillingly accurate, that it reads less like history and more like a script for the future. The authors of this book made a bold claim. They predicted that around the year 2005, a massive financial catalyst would shake the foundation of America. They predicted that by the early 2020s, global trust would collapse, institutions would fail, and society would fracture into tribalism. And most terrifying of all, they predicted that the year 2025 would mark the climax of a crisis so severe that it would decide the survival of our civilization. This isn't astrology. It isn't a conspiracy theory. It is the cold, hard mathematics of history. The book is called The Fourth Turning. And so far, every single thing it predicted has come true. We are not living through a series of random, unfortunate events. We are living through a pattern that has destroyed empires for thousands of years. And right now, the clock is ticking down to the final hour. To understand why 2025 is the breaking point, we have to unlearn everything we've been taught about time. We like to think history is linear, straight line moving upward, where technology gets better, we get richer, and society gets smarter. But history isn't a line, it's a circle. It's a wheel that turns every 80 years. A span of time the Romans called a saeculum, roughly the length of one long human life. Just as nature has for seasons, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, history has 4 turnings. We cycle through them with terrifying regularity. We build institutions, we rebel against them, we weaken them, and finally, we destroy them to build again. The chaos you see on the news today, the inflation, the wars, the political hatred, these aren't glitches in the system. They are the biting winds of a historical winter. And the scary truth is, we have been here before. Let's rewind the clock to prove it. If you subtract 80 years from today, where do you land? You land in the heart of the 1940s. The entire world was on fire. The Great Depression had wiped out the economy, and World War II was rewriting the map of the globe. That was a fourth turning. It was a winter. The old world order was completely destroyed, and from its ashes, a new one was built, the United Nations, the American superpower, and the dollar system we use today. Now, take that date 1945 and subtract another 80 years. Where are we? 1865. The American Civil War. The nation was literally torn in half. Brother fought brother. The economy was shattered. The political system collapsed. It was a moment of total existential crisis. Another winter. Go back 80 years, one more time. 1785. The aftermath of the American Revolution. The colonies had just destroyed the authority of the British Empire to create something entirely new. Do you see the pattern? Every 80 years, like clockwork, the gathered tension of a society snaps. We accumulate debts, we ignore problems, and we let our institutions rot until they can no longer function. History then demands a clearing mechanism, a forest fire, to burn away the deadwood so that something new can grow. The problem is, the last winter ended in 1945. If you do the math, 1945 plus 80 years brings us exactly to 2025. We are not approaching the crisis. We are in the eye of the storm. So, how did we get here? How did we go from the golden age of the past to the chaos of today? To understand the future, we have to quickly decode the 4 stages that brought us to the brink. It started with the American Spring, from 1946 to 1964. After the war, society was united. We built suburbs, we went to the moon, and the middle class exploded. The government was trusted, and individualism was weak. We were a collective machine. Then came the awakening, the summer, from the mid-60s to the early 80s. A new generation. who didn't remember the war, started to feel suffocated by the order. They rebelled. We saw the culture wars, the protests, the rise of the self. Society began to fracture, but the economy held on. Next was the unraveling the autumn, from the 1980s to 2008. This was the era of greed is good. We felt invincible. We borrowed money like there was no tomorrow. We let our manufacturing base die while Wall Street boomed. We ignored the rotting foundations of our society because the stock market was going up. We thought the party would never end. But autumn always ends. And then, in 2008, the first snowflake fell. The global financial crisis. That was the start of the fourth turning our current winter. Since then, we have been trying to delay the inevitable. Central banks printed trillions of dollars to freeze time. Governments promised safety they couldn't deliver. But you cannot print your way out of a fourth turning. Look around you today. Does the world feel like it's working? We are now deep in the final stage. The symptoms are everywhere, and they match the historical pattern perfectly. First, look at the economy. In every fourth turning, the currency of the old empire comes under attack. Today, the U.S. national debt is spiraling vertically, growing by $1 trillion every few months. The BRICS nations are openly challenging the dollar. The financial overreach that destroyed the Roman economy and the French monarchy is happening right here, right now. Second, look at society. Trust in institutions, Congress, the media, the banks is at an all-time low. We are seeing the social decay predicted in the pattern. The population is divided into two realities, unable to even speak to one another. This isn't just political disagreement, 'tis the prelude to a total breakage of the social contract. And finally, look at geopolitics. Peace is a luxury of the spring. In winter, the global order is challenged. We see wars in Europe, conflict in the Middle East, and tensions in Asia. The wolves are circling because they sense the old lion is dying. So, what happens in 2025? If the prophecy holds true, 2025 is the year of the climax. This is the moment where the dam finally breaks. We likely won't see a slow decline anymore. History tells us that when empires hit this stage, the change is sudden, brutal, and final. We could be looking at a sovereign debt crisis that evaporates the savings of the middle class overnight. We could see a constitutional crisis where the outcome of an election is rejected by half the country, leading to civil paralysis. Or, most frighteningly, we could see the outbreak of a global conflict that forces a complete reset of the international borders. The fourth turning theory tells us that the institutions we rely on today, the Federal Reserve, the current political parties, the global supply chains will likely not survive in their current form. They will be swept away. By the time this winter ends, likely around 2030, the world will look completely different. The winners of the last 80 years may become the losers of the next. But there is a reason this pattern exists. It sounds terrifying, but it is necessary. A forest that never burns eventually dies from overcrowding and disease. The fire is destructive, yes, but it clears the ground for new growth. The fourth turning is a gate. We have to walk through it. On the other side of this crisis lies a new high, a new spring, a chance to build a system that is fairer, stronger, and less corrupt. But to get there, we have to survive the winter. The year 2025 is not the end of the world, but it is the end of the world as you know it. The storm is no longer on the horizon. It is at your front door. The only question left is, will you be the victim of history, or will you be prepared for what comes next? To navigate the financial storm that is coming, you need more than just news. You need a map. Subscribe to Economy Rewind, and let's prepare for the future together.